Yo, 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 it's the Bleacher Boys. We are back for episode 16 or 17 or 20. Who cares? But, Gav, brother, you are back from vacation. You look a little tanner, maybe a little browner. I think you were in Savannah, Georgia, man. How was that going?
It was good, man. It was good. We went down there for the fourth, played a little bit of golf, watched the fireworks on the river, did a little ghost tour, ate some good food, and then some not so healthy food. But it was fun, man. It was fun. I don't know if you've ever been, but Savannah fireworks, 4th of July on the river. It was a damn good show. They did it on a barge. They brought a barge through and just
Oh,
lit them off on so you could
yeah.
watch it from both sides of the river. It was really cool, man. It was a really good show. So we had a lot of fun.
Man, that sounds like a lot of fun. I actually played, I can't remember if I told you now, but I actually played my first 18 at Timber Trust with Rod.
Yeah,
I
how
actually
was
played
that?
with Rod and TJ. It was five of us in a group, and it was me and TJ versus Rod and Tylo, one of TJ's friends. It was fun. It was my first time playing 18, and I wanted to go out there fasted because I knew we'd take a break after the front nine.
Uh-huh.
I didn't feel terrible, but we stopped at nine, got a chicken salad sandwich and a water, and it just the back nine. I mean, I was like Rory out there, like Rory 2021 out there. Magically, things got straighter. So I told Roz like, although I like training and like playing facet for like the mental clarity, I just think for energy wise and power wise, I'm not gonna do that anymore.
Yeah.
It was hot that day. It wasn't too touchy, but it was still hot that day. TJ shot, I think TJ shot like 70 or 71.
Yeah.
So he was pretty dialed in, and I broke 100. I think Rod broke 100. So it was a good day, and that was fun for my first time going 18.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. No, it's
And
you
like everybody's been telling me, like if you hear Murph, you'll nerve Murph is out there because you'll pop a Murph because you'll hear him. So like
you'll hear his ass.
yeah, on every hole, I'm like keeping my ears to the ground, hoping I would hear him out there. But we might have been out there too early for him because I think our tea time was like 7:30. Uh,
Okay.
and so I was like, maybe he was getting a late. It was a fourth. I was like, maybe he's getting a late start to the day, pregame a little bit before he got out there.
Yeah, no, we were you said yeah, no, so we were down in
Oh, that's right.
Savannah.
He was with y'all.
Yeah, yeah, he
Oh,
was
yeah,
with
that's right.
us. Yeah. So yeah, no, we played a course over there called the Crosswinds. I played like shit. I couldn't get off the tee box, which is uncommon for me. It happens, but it's like few and far between when I can't get off the tee box. And then the greens were tough, man. They had like punched them probably I'd say like maybe like a week prior, maybe a couple days prior. And they were just tough. Like nothing was turning the way you thought it would, and then it would catch like one of the little punch holes and just kind of go a different direction. You're like, ah, shit. But it was fun, man. We did it. So yeah, no, I need to make a trip out there, and we need to play. I'll actually be out there. Let me think about this. I will be out there the last weekend in July. Hold on, give me a second.
Yeah.
The missus has made a Google Calendar for us, so I will tell you exactly when I'll be out there. I'll be out there on the 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th of August.
Sweet.
So the 8th, I will probably end up playing some golf. So yeah, let's try to get out there and swing it on that 8th. So mark that on your calendar,
What
and
what
me,
is the
you.
eighth?
It's a Friday.
Oh, perfect. We can make that
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah, it's a Friday. So,
Okay.
because that's the FedEx St. Jude tournament.
Uh,
So I'm gonna go back out, network a little bit. I can kind of bang out two birds with one stone, go home, go to the tournament, and do a little bit of business. So it kind of works out. But yeah, nah, man, everything's been good. Glad to hear you're continuing the golf grind. But man, let's do this thing.
all right, brother. So and for all the dedicated podcast fans who watched me solo last week, I may recover some of the subjects because I want to get Gav's take on them, but I just wanted to keep the podcast rolling and get some thoughts off my chest and kind of hone in on the craft. But we are going to start off with some NBA free agent moves talk. So I think there's like two to four to note. We'll cover three. And the first big one, was Kevin Durant to Houston. And we won't bore. It was really ended up being like a 5 team deal. Most of the other stuff is just kind of white noise, not really mattering. No disrespect to those guys. But Katie goes to Houston. Jalen Green goes to what? Did Jalen Green go to the Phoenix Suns?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Jalen Green to the Phoenix Suns. He did mention he has to find a new nail tech there. Uh, it took him a while to find a quality nail tech in Houston, but I'm sure Phoenix has plenty of solid nail techs out there, so I think he'll be all right ripping and running. But man, what is your thoughts overall? If you want to cover Jalen Green or not, but I think we're all here for Kevin Durant. What do you think about Houston? This moves and does this make them even more contenders? Does it keep them the same? Do they take a step back? Like, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, I don't know if it makes them more of a contender. I think it helps if they go to make another postseason run, having that elite scorer. I mean, regardless, I know, Kevin Durant is, a little bit older now. I think he's what,
Six.
34? Oh
Six.
shit, damn, he is 36. So, I mean, I think it's good. I think he's still an elite scorer in the NBA. I'm not gonna buy the stock and say that it makes them a legit championship contender. But you never know with how the West is shaking up. I think the West is kind of, besides OKC, I think anybody could kind of make a run. And I mean, me and you both know as well as anybody else, health is the biggest portion of that. If OKC one key piece goes down, you're kind of in a little bit of trouble out there. So I like it. I think it's good. I don't know how much I like Jalen Green to the Suns. I don't know if that's going to help them at all, but with Booker kind of signing his deal, which I think is outrageous, I don't think he's. I don't know. I don't think he and I'm not throwing any shade on Devin Booker. I think Devin Booker's a damn good NBA player, but I just don't think, besides that one finals run with Chris Paul, I don't think he's worth that amount of money. So we'll see how it shakes out. But yeah, good to see Kevin Durant got another bag. I think that's what, his eighth now, it feels like. Jesus. Guy just continues to get bag after bag. But I mean, when you're the Slim Reaper and you can go get a bucket in any given moment, I guess you deserve it.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I share a lot of the same sentiments. Uh, I don't know if it necessarily makes them better, but if I'm Houston, I'm thinking this move was almost only exclusively for the playoffs. Because we saw them versus the Warriors struggle to score, struggle to score in a half court. And Kevin Durant, even last year, I think he was either the first or second best jump shooter in the NBA last year.
Yeah.
I mean, shooting is one of those things that doesn't really ever leave you. He doesn't drive the ball to the basket as efficiently and aggressively as he used to. But I think for Houston, they were able to keep the core of their team and basically trade out one piece for one piece.
Uh-huh.
So I mean, they still have Thompson, they still have Shingun, they still have Van Fleet, and I think when you're able to keep that core, add KD, if KD can give them 60 games and a full playoff run, um, I could definitely see them in the Western Conference Finals next year. And I think that is the only reason you're bringing Kevin Durant in this situation and trading him out for a future star, maybe not superstar, but you never really know. Jalen Green's so young. I think he's only 23. Super explosive, but probably one of the more inconsistent guys. He can drop 40 one night, and the next night he's dropping 17 on 31% shooting. So I think maybe them having a more consistent shooting guy and a guy they know. I mean, Kevin Durant still just averaged 25 points on like 14 or 15 shots last year. So that would be still extremely valuable to a lot of teams if he can stay healthy. Um, so again, I think it's a slight upgrade, but when you look in the West, the Warriors aren't getting any younger. I mean, the Warriors got to be the oldest team in the NBA next year.
But yeah,
They're
without a doubt.
probably by a long shot. So, I like the Timberwolves, but does Ant Man take another step because he's still a guy that's 39 one night, 17 the next night, a little bit inconsistent. As due to the Lakers look better. We'll get into their moves in a second. OKC is still young. They just solidified all their guys. We'll get to that in a second. But I still could see Houston being third to fifth or sixth in the West and having a shot with a good playoff run and getting to the Western Conference Finals. I can also see them being exited out of the first round, just like they were this year. So
Yeah.
we'll see with that. And before we get to the Lakers, I actually didn't talk. We didn't mention this off screen, but OKC actually three moves. So OKC wrapped up Chet Holmgren and Jalen Williams, their second and third options. Uh, Both guys signing for $200+ million, 4 or 5+ years. Numbers don't really matter. But how do you feel about OKC solidifying their core three moving forward? How do you feel about that? Like, how do you see this shaking out in the future?
I think it's good. I think it's good for them. The toughest part in the NBA, and I think, we've kind of we've seen it within the last, I would say, 10 years, is you don't see too many repeat champions anymore. So you're putting a lot of stock. OKC is putting a lot of stock into going back to back or making a 2 and 3 year kind of run. The one thing I will say is I trust their GM, and kind of whatever that guy does, I'm here for. I don't think he's making the wrong moves at all. So I think it's going to be one of those things where you're about to start seeing people doing what he's doing, and just like all other major sports, it's a copycat league. So you're about to start seeing people try to build through the draft and keep people, and then go out and get picks and all that good stuff. But I like it for OKC, man. I do hope that they make a run. And it is kind of like a little mini dynasty out there. I don't think we'll ever see. I think our days of seeing a Bulls dynasty or a Tim Duncan and Tony Parker, Manu kind of dynasty with the Spurs, I think is kind of over. Um, I I could see potentially could see OKC doing a Spurs dynasty, but I think they're few and far between.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I think the last kind of dynastic run was Steph's Warriors with Steph,
Yeah,
Draymond, and Clay, and then they had the
yeah,
two with KD there, and that's the last repeat champion as well. So you're going back eight years or so. We haven't had a repeat champion since. So I think you're on the money with that. If I'm OKC, I have Shea locked up for I believe 6 years. I have Jalen locked up, I believe, because they were extension. None of the guys
yes,
had contracts. So I believe Jalen's locked up for 6, and Chet is locked up for 7, I believe, 6 or 7 himself. So I like it for Jalen. My only concern about locking Chet up is his injury history. Because before he even played an NBA game, he had a kind of like a Blake Griffin type injury. It was a non-contact injury, fell, nobody touched him, hip contusion, out for a full year. And then even this year, he's missed half a year. So he's been drafted for 3 years and only played a year and a half worth of game in those 3 years. So it's just, and again, 7 foot guy might be 205 pounds. I don't know, 210 maybe at the most. So it's like you just worry about his injury, history and his availability to be able to, you know, see fulfillment in this contract. But like I said, their depth has been so good they've been able to overcome his
uh
lack of availability the last couple of years. And then another one, the Orlando Magic went ahead and signed Paolo Banchero to a max rookie deal. I believe it's like 4 years, 283, and if he makes it All NBA, it's like 289. How do you feel about the Magic, the offseason moves they made, and going ahead and locking up Paolo, because now they have Paolo locked up for 6, Franz Wagner locked up for 6, Desmond Bain locked up for 5, and Jalen Suggs locked up for 5. So I think the Magic are kind of taking that blueprint of what OKC has done, and they're on a younger timeline of going ahead and locking up our core guys and having this team locked in for 5 to 6 years. Because just how the NBA is currently constructed with the luxury tax and the first apron and the second apron, like you said, it's hard to move as a free agent without just stripping your team down. And so you have to be able to draft and develop well. So how do you feel about the Magic signing Paolo to that extension and what they have going for them?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, man, with the way that the East is shaken out with all the injuries and everything, I mean, I think I said this in the podcast before vacation, but I could buy stock in the Eastern Conference Finals next year being a Magic and Hawks. I could really see that on both ends, especially with the Hawks moves that they've made, acquiring Kristaps. So yeah, I mean, I'm here for it, man. I think the Magic are kind of on that same, like you said, timeline that the Thunder are on. And I could see a chip going to Orlando here in the near, I'd say 2 years, honestly. I'd be heavily surprised if in 2 years we're looking back and we're saying that the Magic didn't. Something's drastically going to have to happen for them not to, at least at the minimum in 2 years, make a finals appearance.
Yeah.
And I think majority of basketball watchers would kind of agree with that, knowing what Paolo is as a player. And the average NBA fan, the casual guy, isn't going to understand it because, I mean, let's just be honest, the Magic don't get too much, press coverage or anything. But if you follow and ball, you would buy into that stock as well.
Yeah. All right, so the next big move was DeAndre Ayton being acquired by the Los Angeles Lakers.
Uh-huh.
One thing I think just the optics of it is, I don't know if you saw his press conference or not when he was introduced to the team, but he seemed to be highly energetic, highly motivated, and locked in to really come in and make a difference. And I think a slight that has been said a lot about Aiton since he's kind of come into the league. And then even after that finals run he had with the Phoenix Suns and him being in Portland, is that maybe his motor isn't always the strongest. Maybe he isn't always the most, not dedicated to his craft, but just locked in for the whole 82 games in the season. In the playoffs, everybody's up because everybody's on the national screen and the energy is great. But maybe he's just not always the most locked in guy. Um, but I think he understands being able to go to play with potentially LeBron, definitely Luca, and being a Los Angeles Laker, that spotlight is going to be brighter on him than it's ever been. And so, what do you think about the Ayton deal to the Los Angeles Lakers?
I like it. I mean, I think that they've kind of didn't they drafted a big man, didn't they? If memory serves me right, didn't they already have one kind of drafted up
I
or
think they
no?
did. I
Yeah,
think they
so
did.
it's kind of like one of those things of like, what are you doing? And we're gonna get to this here in a minute on our docket. But here's the thing, and I think you're a fool if you think otherwise. But I think Lakers ownership, front office, everything has turned the keys over to Luca. I don't think LeBron is running as much as what LeBron lovers want to do or want to think he is. I think, and we're going to get to this, I think LeBron is out. And we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, I like Ayton. Here's the thing, and we've talked about this before as well. The Mavericks were good with Luka because they had a defensive-minded team around him. The Lakers don't have that yet. You've got to build that. You've got to get a defensive, like at least one, and you really need two pure defensive guys. Like if the Lakers could have gone out and like made a trade with the Celtics, and I would have hated it. But like a Drew Holiday, a Derek White, um, a Thompson from the Rockets, even Dylan Brooks. Go get Dylan Brooks.
Yeah.
Like he's with the Suns now. But there's some guys out there that play really good defense, like a Herb Jones
Yeah.
from New Orleans. Like there's just guys that I'm seeing that I'm like that are signing extensions or whatever that you're like, man, you could have acquired this guy and you didn't. Why? So I'm not gonna buy the stock in the Lakers this year either. I'm just not, and that's just kind of where I stand on them.
Same here. Again, I feel like it was a lateral move. Um, I've said this before, and it's just not speaking at a hater at all. I think LeBron is a top 10 producer in the NBA, but I don't think he has top 10 impact in the NBA
Uh,
anymore. I think this year was his last year of doing that, whereas Luca is, but Luca still has deficiency. Even I think him being in better shape still won't make him an average defender game in, game out. And like you said, LeBron is no longer the two-way player that he used to be. Even off, he was an elite off-ball defender more than on-ball. And so both of them need role players around them to help protect the rim and close out on the wing. So do they have that? Will they get that? Are they done making moves? I don't know, but I am with you. New ownership in LA, they are 100% turning over you've heard a lot of news out of the Clutch Sports, LeBron James, Rich Paul camp that they are not happy with how the Lakers are treating LeBron. And I don't necessarily know if he's out of there this year because his $53 million is still hard to move and
uh-huh,
maneuver in a trade this year. At a minimum, I think this is his last year as a Laker. Another thing is Bronny is still there trying to make his name, and if LeBron James is not a Laker, I think Bronny James would be out of there as quickly as possible, or he'd never see the NBA court again. He'd just be in the D League for the whole year. And
uh-huh,
I don't think LeBron James would want that for his son when he seems to still be developing and trending in a positive direction.
uh-huh.
Um, at least from what I see, even in summer league this year.
Yeah, yeah, no, I agree with you. I think Laker fans, LeBron fans thought when he was going to go out there that it was just going to be this magical run of chip after chip, and let's just call a spade a spade. He got a legit Mickey Mouse ring because they were in Orlando. I mean, he got a Mickey Mouse trophy. So I don't know. I think me and you are on the same wavelength. I think people that are very realistic and not LeBron Glazers, I think, are also in the same kind of wavelength with us. But it'll be interesting to see, man. I mean, I think there's how many more weeks you got, because NBA actual season starts in like October.
Yeah.
So you got, July, August, September. So about 3 months left
Yeah.
until like something
I
really.
think it's 12 weeks till preseason. I
Yeah,
think I'm talking about
yeah,
11 or 12 weeks to when preseason start. And you
yeah,
basically got like 2.5 weeks of preseason.
yeah. So there's still a lot of time for shit to
Yeah.
to shake up. I mean, nothing's concrete, nothing's set in stone yet. So we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Last notable move, Miles Turner, and Cole Anthony being acquired by the Bucks. Miles Turner coming over in trade, from the almost seemed like newly decimated Indianapolis Pacers, uh, with Halliburton going down and now Miles Turner. That's two of their five starters coming off of their finals appearance team already. And then Cole Anthony being traded to the Memphis Grizzlies, getting bought out, and then moving over to the Bucks in a free agent move. So what do you feel like this does for the Bucks? How do you feel like this impacts Giannis? And do you like or could care less about this trade or transaction with these two players to the Bucks?
Yeah, dude, I'll be honest with you. The quick note on that, on just a Miles Turner piece, I was heavily surprised to see him out of Indiana. That man has been there, I mean, through ups, downs, mediocre. I mean, he's been there. And you look at the guys that he's played with in a Pacers jersey, you're just like, what? Like Victor Oladipo, people forget about him. I want to say he was there with Paul George.
George, yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had been there 10
Um,
years.
yeah, like it's just crazy to see like all of these like ebbs and flows for him, and then for Indiana to just kind of, and I don't want to say they're just kind of like, I don't know, I don't know how to feel about it. I get it, it's a business. I just really didn't see. I saw Miles Turner finishing his career in Indiana, or if anything, at the back end of his career, he was going to go somewhere, but not right now. But like you said, decimated Pacers with Halliburton going down. I guess they feel like they maybe had to. I don't know. Um, not I don't know how I feel about Cole Anthony going there. I don't know if that's like a needle mover for me. I think for the Bucks and for Giannis, I think the Bucks are trying to show Giannis that they're trying. They're trying to get him in a position to get another one, which I think Giannis is going to be appreciative of, but the trying didn't work out with Damian Lillard. And I think if memory serves me right, he's back in Portland now. Is that what I saw? Is he going back?
Well, he's still he's I
He's
guess
still
still
a
technically he's still like out there. He hasn't signed with anybody yet.
Okay, yeah, but I could see him going back to Portland in a
Yeah.
heartbeat. They love him out there. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know, where it puts Giannis in his camp. I don't know what their thoughts are. I think it's going to be interesting again to see how it plays out and see because I mean, and we'll just go ahead and bring it up, on this last bit. Where the talk is that either Giannis or LeBron are going to the Spurs. That's the big rumor right now. Is one of those two are going to be in a Spurs uniform, teaming up with Wemby, Cassell, Vassell, Devin Vassell, and then you got or not Cassell, sorry, Stephen Castle.
Castle. Castle.
Castle. And then did you see their kid that they just got in the summer league? Did you see his game the other night? Where he had
Yeah.
like a clutch steal. Yeah, dude, that kid Byron is his last
Yeah.
name Byron or something like that. But anyway, regardless, I mean the Spurs are the Spurs, man. They do it right. They're very like a Miami Heat team to me. So I think that's just kind of where I stand. I don't know if I'm putting the Bucks up there just yet. I think it'll be interesting to see where Giannis lands, and I think once we see if Giannis goes back, I'll be able to make a decision. But what about you?
I think it is a valiant effort by the Bucks. I still think Giannis is going to stay there at least through this year and see how it plays out, especially because Damian is no longer on the team. Um, Cole and I mean I've watched Cole Anthony's whole career in Orlando. Spark plug kind of guy, gives the team a lot of juice kind of guy, great energy, but really inefficient. And when you need him the most, even coming off the bench or starting, he can come up a little bit short for you. So again, I don't know how that placates into because Giannis plays a lot how Paolo does. Giannis, especially when Damian was out a lot this year, Giannis does play that point forward a lot where he brings the ball up the court and he
Uh-huh.
play makes, and that is this like that's been the system of around Paolo's. Paolo and Franz have been bringing the ball up a lot and kind of point forwarding the Magic team, and Cole playing the off ball position. So he's going to be playing virtually the same role, and then that's maybe why he was attractive to them because he's going to play with another kind of dominant power forward, point forward kind of guy, and maybe the scenery change. Magic fans love him,
Uh-huh.
but just objectively speaking, as a basketball player, he's kind of a inefficient guy. Mal Turner, I think, is a great. I think he's a great substitute because they lost Brooke Lopez.
Uh-huh.
And you get another 6'11", 7-foot guy who can stretch the floor, who can defend the rim, younger than, I think he's like 5 or 6 years younger than Lopez. So I do think it was a good complementary move. And I think this holds Giannis in the standstill for at least 1 year. Because I still think the asking price for Giannis is going to strip down any team. And it's like, if you have to strip your team to bring in LeBron or Giannis, I think you got to strip
Uh-huh.
down your team more to bring in Giannis. But you have to make the salaries match with LeBron
Yeah.
to play with Wemby. And I know a lot of people have Wemby in their top 10, but Wemby still hasn't shown anything. Granted, he's been in the league almost, what, a year and a half now. But to me, he still hasn't shown that he is a winning impact player. The
Uh-huh.
biggest player can go off, can do anything he wants on the basketball court. But you even see guys like Paolo. Year two, Paolo was an all-star and getting the Magic team into the playoffs.
Uh-huh.
And even last year, the Spurs weren't trending towards the playoffs with a healthy Wemby. So I don't know if LeBron makes Wemby that much better. Giannis does, but then again, you still have two twin towers playing off of each other, and Greg Popovich is not there to placate the guys like David Robinson and Tim Duncan did back in the day.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like either one of those guys going to the Spurs. Giannis more than LeBron, but I don't know what that truly would still even do for the Spurs minus a just a structural organizational change for the two superstars to pair them with Wemby.
Mhm. Yeah, no, you bring up some good points right there.
Um, Man, I think that is pretty much it for the NBA talk. Unless you, oh, did you see? Have you been following any of Cooper's first two summer league games?
No, I caught the tail end of the first one where they were charging $3,000 to sit courtside at a glorified AAU event, which is absolutely asinine in my opinion. But I caught the back end of it, and I know he didn't have a great game. And then you saw his presser after, he said it wasn't up to his standards and this, that, and the other. But no, I haven't seen much. I think the kid, I don't know. I want to see it, full go. Like I said, summer league's kind of hard because, like I said, it is glorified AAU. But no, I haven't seen much of his. But I will bring up before, and I want to get your thoughts on the Cooper Flag because I know you've watched him. But the last piece I want to bring up, and I want to get your thoughts on this as well. Have you seen the 29-year-old white dude? I think. Oh gosh, what is his name? Hold on. I got to do this research real quick. Oh God, I just had his name in my um summer league. It's his first year. John Elmore. John Elmore. Have you seen this
No,
guy?
no.
Oh, dude's a bucket. Dude is a bucket. Yeah, he's on the Kings. That's what I thought. He's on the Kings,
Okay.
and he's in summer league, and the dude's like, I mean, he's a bucket. Like, you need to go watch his stuff. Go watch some highlights from him in summer league. But nah, so you haven't seen him. But let me get your thoughts on Cooper.
Well, so Cooper, you're right. Cooper had an inefficient first game. They were full court pressing them like almost out of the gate there. But I think the a good sign he came back and dropped 31. Then he was like 31, 8 and 6. His second game, summer league game, again against quality because I think he was playing against Carter Bryant, who is touted as a very good defensive two-way rookie as well. I think he was a top 10. He was a lottery pick himself. So the fact that he's able to bounce back, show resilience, and have a huge game, I think he's going to be fine. Because again, he's not going to be the first option, and when Kyrie gets back, he's going to be the third option on that team, maybe even the fourth option. So, and he's not going to be getting full court press. He's not going to be bringing up the ball for the Mavericks initially. He's not going to be a primary ball handler, even though they don't have a ton of primary ball handlers to begin with. But I think he's going to be fine. Again, hold like you want to hold serve him like is he going to be a superstar or this, but I think he's going to be like a very 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 light version of what LeBron is.
Uh-huh.
Not phenomenal at anything but very good at a lot of things. Could score, could shoot the three, can handle the ball, could play defense, on ball, off ball defense, can get you blocks, can get you steals, can get you rebounds. He does a lot of things very. He's a Swiss Army knife at
Yes.
6'9", 240. So, and again, he's going to be a second and third option, which is going to serve him well. So I think Cooper's going to be good. Like I said, he walked into summer league getting basically the Caitlin Clark treatment, where from day one, play one, they're full court pressing him and double teaming him, and
Yeah.
so nobody wanted him to come out. Everybody's trying to make their name off of Cooper, basically.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to be fine.
Yeah, I do too. I do
All
too.
right, let's move on to football.
Yeah.
Um, a probably the biggest move of the last couple of weeks was the Steelers and Dolphins trade, which was technically two trades if people didn't know. But it was basically Jonnu Smith and Jalen Ramsey from the Dolphins
Uh-huh.
going over to the Steelers, and the Steelers getting Minka Fitzpatrick. If people don't know, Minka Fitzpatrick started and was drafted with the Dolphins and played with under Brian Flores. So he's getting to go back to Miami, and um, Aaron Rodgers is getting a much more of a Kyle Pitts pass catching, Jimmy Graham pass catching tight end. And they already have two quality tight ends in Pittsburgh already.
Yes.
And I believe Jalen Smith is actually going to be moving to like be a nickel corner and more of a safety role for the Steelers, which is what he's wanted to be for the last couple of years. But both the Rams and the Dolphins have wanted him to stay at cover, and he's been compensated as much. I'm sure he doesn't cry about that in his bank account, but Jalen Ramsey, I believe he will get moved to be more of a safety for the Steelers for that team, which would suit him better, maybe even extend out his career a little bit longer. Uh, so knowing those details, man, what do you think this does for the Steelers? How do you think it affects the Dolphins? How does this look going forward for you?
Yeah, no, I think the Steelers became a little bit better. I really do. They got to go find their quarterback still. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is the answer. I think you'll see another playoff kind of run, and then maybe a first round exit. Um, but I do. It does make me want to put a little more stock into them. The Dolphins are the Dolphins. I feel like every year with, the prodigal son of Mike McDaniels, it's like, oh, this is the year that you hear from Dolphins fans, and it doesn't shake out. So I think I don't know. I think it's, like I said, makes the Steelers a little bit better. The Dolphins are the Dolphins and will be third in the AFC East. And then you're just kind of rolling off of that.
Yeah. Uh, I think for the Dolphins, it's a negligible move. Don't have high hopes for them. I think the Bills are going to win that division. Have the Patriots, or a little prequel to our next topic in divisional winners. I have the Patriots as a wild card team, or at least a potential wild card team this year. I love what they have going. So at best, I have the Dolphins as a third place team in that division. I mean, and honestly, nobody truly knows how a football season is going to shake out. So who knows how much Aaron Glenn is going to impact the Jets? And maybe, I mean, who's to say Justin Fields doesn't have a career year and the Jets aren't a playoff team, even with their organizational dysfunction that they've had for God 15, 20 years himself.
Yeah.
But the NFL, honestly, you just don't know season to season. You can try to guess, but like nobody saw the Minnesota Vikings, even with as great a roster they have, being, going to the season having a chance at a one seed going into week 18 last year. So who's going to be, there's always one or two of those teams this year. And, could the Jets or the Patriots be one of those teams to be a bottom feeder, and making the playoffs? But for the Steelers, I think it does make them more interesting. Janu and Fryermuth being the two tight ends there, and they have another great pass blocking tight end as a third one. So Art Smith, their offensive coordinator, came in for the Titans, who kind of made Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry who they were. They play a lot of 12 personnel, so he really likes having two tight ends on the field, and
Uh,
so having three tight ends really helps that offense. They want to run the ball. They want to dump it to the tight ends in the flat. Russell Wilson just flat out couldn't throw the ball over the middle, neither could Justin Fields last year. But Aaron Rodgers 100% can. There's nothing wrong with Aaron Rodgers' arm. All his injuries have been to his lower body,
uh-huh.
but his arm is still there. And one prop I will give to Aaron Rodgers last year is that even though he probably still doesn't want to get hit as much, I did see him stand there and deliver some throws and take some blows for that Jets team in some important games last year. So I still think he has some of that in them. Um, and then hopefully getting Joey Porter Jr. back full time at cornerback will really help solidify that secondary. And I think as long as they bring back TJ Watt, like I think they're a playoff team again. And again, you get in the playoffs if Aaron Rodgers can be more serviceable to be who he typically is just a good touchdown to interception ratio guy, and their
Uh-huh.
defense could be what they normally be. Who's to say they can't finally break that playoff streak? Because they definitely want to break that playoff streak for Mike Tomlin. Aaron Rodgers wants to. I think this is definitely his last year, and I think he wants to go out at least as a playoff winner, to kind of get off that stain of what's happened for the Jets this year. So, I think this is a positive move for the Steelers, and you'd have to think that they're trending in a positive direction, even though it might not be skyrocketing. Don't want to buy stock into them, but they're at least trending in a positive direction.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think it's gonna be an interesting year in the NFL. You know, and like you said, you brought up a good point with the three tight ends in Pittsburgh. I'm really surprised that Darnell Washington hasn't been utilized more, and this might be the year that he actually gets. Because I mean, if people go back and look at him at Georgia, I mean, it was unreal.
Yeah.
And so, you know, being with Pat Fryermuth and now Jonnu Smith, I think you're about to see some wild formations with those three and Arthur Smith coming in and seeing what they can do.
Yeah, I agree. So let's get into our last football segment before we move on to baseball and close that out. Got a lot to cover in baseball as well. Uh, I gave my I gave my divisional winners.
Uh-huh.
Let's see if I still have this. Yeah, so I gave my divisional winners last week, and I gave my three wild card teams in the NFC and the AFC. So I'm
Okay.
just gonna rip off my list. You can let me know what you think. I won't go back and forth with you because I already covered this last week. And then you give me your divisional winners and three potential wild card teams, or you can just give me some dark horse teams that you have as well.
Okay.
So in the NFC, out of the North, I think I was a year early, but I have the Packers winning the NFC North this year. I think losing two coordinators, losing an all pro caliber center. I think the Lions take a slight step back. I think the Bears are 1 year away. And I think the Vikings take a small step back, having a rookie quarterback as well. But the Vikings still have their whole roster back, and both of their tackles will be healthy. And that was the big downtrodden last year, losing both of their tackles to injury. But I still think the Packers, Jordan Love stays healthy, and they take that division. And the NFC South, I have the Falcons. I think they will probably have a top five offense this year if I'm going to make a bold take. I think Michael Penix can really spin it, and I don't know if they have an NFL Breakout Player of the Year award, but if I had to say who's going to be the NFL Breakout Player of the Year, I think it's going to be Michael Penix. I think he has a big year for them, 35 plus touchdowns, probably a good amount of interceptions, but we'll see. And I think Bijan Robinson finishes RB1 or RB2 in fantasy this year because of it. Out of the West, I have the Rams coming back and winning that division again. I think there's just a little bit too much turmoil and consistency out of Kyler in Arizona. I'm not sure the 49ers can still stay fully healthy with all their offensive weapons. Who knows what Ayuk is going to look like? Is this the end for Chris McCaffrey? Does their tackle, all world tackle. Trent, does he stay healthy for a full year? Because when he's not in there, they're a completely different team. And I still think the Seahawks are still 1 year away, even though I love their head coach, Mike McDaniel. And out of the NFC East, I think the Eagles repeat as champions, but I don't think it looks as dominant as it did last year. I think the Commanders, like, you're going to have more tape on Jaden Daniels, and like he has to take a huge leap to not regress,
Uh-huh.
year to year, kind of like CJ Stroud did. They brought over Larry Tunsil to help protect his bat side, but can Larry Tunsil stay healthy? They brought over Debo. Honestly, I don't know if his conditioning is any better than mine is right now, currently standing. Uh,
Yeah.
so, do they have enough weapons? They didn't improve their running back room. They really didn't improve their wide receiver room, and they still don't have Terry McLaurin signed to a deal. He's unhappy. And I don't think the Cowboys just have quite enough on defense to win out that division, even though I like what they did to improve their offense by bringing in Pickens, bringing in a couple running backs to improve their running back room. Although I think CD is going to be a top five wide receiver here, undoubtedly, as long as he stays healthy, as long as Dak stays healthy. My three wildcard teams, though, will be Minnesota Vikings, the Cowboys, San Francisco 49ers. Um, I'll go ahead and give you my AFC, and you could just kind of give me what you think about both and kind of summarize for you giving yours. I'll rip through these. And out of the North, I have the Steelers. Out of the South, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. Out of the West, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. And out of the AFC East, I have the Bills maintaining their throne there. And my wild card teams are the Ravens, the Patriots, and the Broncos.
Okay.
Thought.
Yeah, no, I am kind of, I would say I'm 90% in the same wavelength as you. For my NFC, I agree. I'm taking the Packers, which I'm kind of converted now because Emily is a Packers fan. They're all from Wisconsin, so I guess I'm rocking a Go Pack Go hat this season. But I am taking the Packers. I think you're right. I think the Eagles are going to take the East. The one thing I do still think, though, the only one difference is I don't think it's the Rams. I do think it's going to be the 49ers. I don't know why. I do. And then with the South, I think you're right with the Falcons. Although it's hard to kind of bet against Baker and Mike Evans. I mean, you see what they got with Bucky Irving. So it's tough. The kind of dark horses for me in the NFC are going to be the Vikings, the Cowboys, and the Bucks.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if you would call the Bucks a dark horse. They're more of like a medium horse. But that would be my wild cards there, or my, kind of hot takes. And then you got in the AFC, I'm actually going to buy stock with you and the Jaguars. You've converted me. I'm going to go ahead and buy that stock. And then I'm not taking the Steelers to win it. I'm going to take the Ravens. I'm going to take the Chiefs, of course. You can't bet against them. I feel like anytime you do, you just lose. And then I am going to take the Bills. And then my dark horses are going to be the Chargers, the Steelers, and Houston.
Gotcha.
That
I'm
would
with it.
be that would be where I'm at. I mean, and you look at I have the odds pulled up right now. I know we got some bettors that listen
Yeah.
to this. You know, you got the Jaguars at a plus 300. You got even the Texans are a plus 100. In the AFC South, you got the Ravens at a minus 145 with the Bengals at a plus 225. Let's see. You got the Steelers are plus 550. Chiefs are minus 120. Chargers are plus 300. They got the Bills taking it at minus 275 and the Patriots at plus 500, the next closest. You got, let's see, the Lions are a plus 135 with Green Bay at a plus 260. And then you got Eagles minus 145, Commanders plus 225. You got San Francisco's plus 150 with the Rams right there at plus 175. And then you got Tampa Bay plus 100 and Falcons plus 225. The one thing that kind of really stands out to me, though, that's really kind of, I don't know, I don't want to say alarming, but just kind of wild to me, knowing how the NFL season kind of plays out, is you have the Browns at plus 3,000. You have the Raiders at plus 1,500, which is why I don't know if that's I don't like that. You got the Jets at plus 1,400, the Giants at plus 3,000, which I'll give you that one, and then you got the Saints at plus 1,100. Now you're gonna tell me that the Saints have better odds than the Jets, the Raiders, or the Browns? You've lost your mind. I get it. I get it that the NFC South is the less division in all of the NFL, but come on, dude. Like, are you buying that stock?
Yeah. Well, I'm not, because I mean, I'm just not a huge Taylor Swift fan, but like you don't know, I do like Kellen Moore as an offensive play caller, and I get it. The division is wide open, but the defense was atrocious last year. Love Alvin Kamara, but he's a year older. Why is Chris Olave can't stay healthy? I mean, he's probably one concussion from being out, like Tua is for the rest of his career. So I like, and I know I think they drafted a good running back as well, but still, like, I'm with you on the Saints having better odds than a lot of those other teams, especially because you look at like the Raiders. Um, the Raiders are probably like my off the board dark horse team for the whole AFC because Ashton Jennings projected to be a top five running back. Pete Carroll just a model of consistency and organizational stability. He's brought in a couple of good coordinators, and they weren't far off. Like they had a good defense last year. They were just decimated with injuries, and they had Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew as their
Yeah.
quarterbacks.
Yeah.
You know, Geno Smith is just a huge step up from that. And again, if Geno Smith can be 30 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, that makes a huge difference for the complexion of that team.
Yeah, no, they're saying right now, just looking at odds, they're saying that the NFC North is going to be the closest divisional
Yeah.
race.
And one thing I'll say about the 49ers, why I have them in the wild card team, and just the 49ers, their injuries scare me,
Yeah.
but they do have either the first or second easiest schedule in the NFL next
Mhm.
year. Just the divisional teams they were playing and them being a last place team last year. So that's why it's like you can't not have them. You can't not have them making the playoffs next year if you're predicting. But I just think Stafford probably last year, Devontae Adams with Puka Nakua, and their two defensive linemen, Fisk. And when you have a stout defensive line, and they could probably have a top 3 or 4 defensive line. I think the Giants are probably going to have the best defensive line. I think the Eagles are probably going to have the second best defensive line. And I don't see how the Rams don't have the third best defensive line in the league. You'd just be hard pressed not to say probably top 5 passing game. Kyler Williams is a touchdown machine, and if he stays healthy, and then top defensive line like that would trump my concerns over the 49ers. But Zach, I still think even that division is still a toss up, and who knows what Arizona could do because if Kyler just goes off and James Conner is solid, and to me Trey McBride is probably the third, fourth best tight end in the league last year, but he's like the best pass catching tight end that just doesn't score touchdowns I've ever seen ever. I mean, and if Marvin Harrison makes a big step up, like the Cardinals could give a lot of teams a lot of problems.
Uh-huh. But yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see how everything shakes out with the division winners. But I like your picks as well. I think the only thing that scares me about the why for the reasons why I propelled the Jaguars forward was the same reason I'm detracting from the Bucks is the Bucks have barely won that division 2 years in a row. One year they even had a losing record to win that division, and they lost their offensive coordinator that bolstered uh, um, Baker to have such a huge year last year.
Uh-huh.
I think Baker's going to get taken higher some fantasy drafts. I think mistakenly than he should be this year, based off of last year. Even though his weapons are better, but I think Liam Cohen, being the guy that was the play caller but is moving over to Jacksonville, is the reason why I think that could cost him one game in that division. That one game could be the difference between them and the Falcons.
Yeah. Yeah.
But like I said, they drafted a mega out of Ohio State,
Uh-huh.
and if you have him, Chris Godwin back healthy, and Mike Evans, Cade Otton, and then Bucky Irving could be a top 5 to 7 running back. Like based off that alone, and then the head coach is a defensive guy. Like you still have to like the Bucks' chances of winning that division. So I think that one is still a 50-50 toss up.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, brother. So let's move into baseball with that rounding out. And let's start out with kind of the breakout story of the league, Cal Raleigh. Uh, we're at the All Star break now, and this dude has already surpassed his. He's having like a Jose Bautista like 2010 year where he's already hit more home runs through half of year than he has as a career high. He is leading the league at the All Star break in home runs, and the only person who's ever hit as many home runs as him at the All Star break is Barry Bonds. The year he broke the National League record, which he's currently on pace to break the American League record of Aaron Judge that was broken just 2 years ago. So, man, first of all, before we get into other stuff, how do you feel about Cal Raleigh? Where does he stand for you? And as a former catcher yourself, and Cal Raleigh being a catcher, do you think he keeps his pace up, or do you think he falls off of a little bit and still finishes, with a very solid 50 plus home run a year?
Yeah, no, dude, it's super impressive. Cal Raleigh's a stud. I had buddies that played with him at Florida State. And so, getting to see him at Florida State back in the day, you knew he was a stud then. Switch hitting catcher. And here's the thing that people, kind of forget is he's a damn good defensive catcher. So with that being said, being a catcher takes a lot of it's a toll on not only your body but your mind because you're thinking everything. You got to go in before a game, and not only are you doing a hitting report and a scouting report on the opposing hitters and how are we going to pitch them and how are we going to attack them, and then you're working with your starting pitcher and then your relievers and everything else. You got to know all that stuff. Then you're thinking about who am I facing? So now you got to think about the guy that you're going up against and you got to face and how is he going to attack me? What does he like to throw and what counts? And so you got those two things, and that's just prior to the game. Now you're going into the game, and everything's a snap decision. You have to make a decision like that. Okay, where am I making this call? What am I doing? How am I doing this? What am I going to do if this happens, if that happens? So it's not only a physical toll, dude, it's a mental toll. And for him to be doing what he's doing is just absolutely insane. For anybody that knows ball and any catchers out there, it's tough. And he is absolutely killing it. And I think he will be the AL MVP. I think he'll come out of the All-Star break, and I think he'll come out hot. I think he'll come out swinging still. And the only thing that scares me is I hope that the home run derby doesn't mess him up at all. I hope he keeps, gets back into the lab, gets back going, and you see him win a AL MVP in Seattle.
Yeah, a couple things to follow up and to add on. Probably speaking out of the side of my mouth, or I guess the side of my neck here, to say if I was a big league player having a breakout year, and I just go back to who was the guy for the Reds? Was it Bobby? He was like leading the NL in home runs. Bobby Abreu. He was leading the league NL in home runs, went to the home run derby, and hit like seven more home runs for it. Just destroyed his swing for the rest of the year. And it would be hard pressed for me even, and I don't know if I'd be that mature because I've never been in that position, but as a guy who's been in every possible home run derby that's been available to me and won some of those, that I wouldn't want to. I think my superstition of not wanting to get into the home run derby, knowing that kind of like the Madden cover is like the Madden cover is an awesome opportunity, but there is
Yeah.
legit curses to it. And obviously, there's been guys who it hasn't affected whatsoever. But it's like, do you go into the home run derby in your breakout year when history is on the line? A huge
Yeah.
money is on the line.
Yeah.
You win an AL MVP, maybe a Silver Slugger. I know his batting average is down there, but you win a Silver Slugger, you're All Star. Like that's gonna have, like his stock is never going to be any higher. And if I'm him, I'm trying to get a contract extension solidified this offseason. But it's like I would worry about the home run derby messing up my swing. Reason it personally never affected me was because how I took my bat. I don't know how he takes batting practice, but how I took my batting practice with even in my home run derbies, I would hit opposite field and center field home runs. I wouldn't pull everything, but some
Hmm.
guys in home run derbies do. So my approach didn't change in the home run derby. That's why I lost a couple of them because I wouldn't try to pull everything and change up my swing.
Hmm.
But that's just one note. Two, I would love to see him win. I love Aaron Judge. I don't mind him winning another one. He's having a phenomenal year, and I know he's a hits leader and up there in batting average. And I like it's refreshing to see somebody hitting well above 330, even going into the All Star break, and I hope he keeps it up.
Yeah.
But I think it's even more props to and kudos to what Cal Raleigh's doing even through the All Star break. Because I've never been a catcher, but I've actually been an outfielder and a first baseman, and it's no coincidence that outfielders and first baseman 97% of them are your all time hitters because first basemen have the least amount of workload on their body as position players. They move the least and then the small amount of plays, and they are responsible for the least even on the infield. And outfielders get to check in, check out, and they get to move freely in what they do. I think outfielders' biggest liability is there's even a lot of outfielders don't pull a lot of hamstrings running for fly balls, just normally running the bases. The most dangerous for them thing for them is running into walls and hurting
Yeah.
themselves or diving for a ball. But again, all Barry Bonds, all your all-time home run leaders are always first basemen, even from a batting average standpoint, are always first base and the outfielders, and it's because the mental and physical demand is so much lower for them than everybody else in the field, even second, short, and third baseman, but definitely the catcher. That's why your Buster Posies and your Mowers and those guys are just super impressive because of the physical, mental, and emotional load that goes onto them. But they have to manage their pitchers even throughout the game too. And if you have an emotional pitcher, uh,
Jesus.
that's even more stuff you got to
Yeah.
maintain. Let alone if a uh, your pitcher throws one up and into a guy who's an all-star level hitter and he's ready to fight him, and you're having to be the mediator. I mean, all those things just they take it to a fact, and those are things that don't show up in the stat sheet and the
Yeah.
notebook that catchers have to deal with as well.
Like, I'll put it to everybody, every listener that listens to this and tunes in. Having an emotional pitcher is worse than having, if you're a male, it's worse than having an emotional girlfriend on her period. Like, it is, it's nightmare fuel.
Yeah,
Because it's a grown man and you're trying to calm him down. And it's tough. And so, yeah, dude, it's impressive. I hope he comes out good, man. I'm curious to see this. Majority of your pitchers in the MLB are right-handed, right? Righties kind of
yeah,
dominate the sport. Will he take the home run derby or do the home run derby left-handed, hitting from the left side, or will he do it hitting from the right side? Because he is a switch hitter.
yeah,
That's going to be interesting to me. Which one he comes out and does it, if he does it right-handed or left-handed, to kind of maybe he does it right-handed, maybe preserve the left-handed swing a little bit. I don't know.
yeah,
So I think it'll be interesting.
yeah. Yeah, it'll be good to see. And let's parlay that into mid-season awards for professional baseball. So I'm gonna let you give the odds on AL, NL MVP, NL Cy Young, and then potential rookies of the year.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I'll run through the odds. I'll give my takes out of those odds, and then you want to run through yours.
Yes.
Okay, all right. I'll do the top three. We'll just do the top three in the odds. So for AL MVP, and you got Aaron Judge is a clear favorite at -1,000. Cal Raleigh is second at +450, and then Jose Ramirez has 75 to 1 odds. So for me, I'm taking Cal Raleigh. I think he's gonna run away with it in the second half. But I think that Aaron Judge is got just as good of a chance. With that being said, you roll over to the NL MVP. So yeah, Cal Raleigh's my pick. NL MVP, you got Shohei is the favorite at -1,000. Pete Crow's 13 to 1 odds, and Juan Soto's 25 to 1 odds. I'm gonna take Shohei. I think it's hard to bet against him as much as I do like Pete Crow Armstrong, and I think he is having a terrific, terrific year. And I think he might be a year away from an MVP. It's hard to go against the prodigal son out of Japan and the Messiah. The guy, and especially with him about to be on the bump again, like it's scary.
Yeah.
It's scary. So then give me your two, and then we'll roll to Cy Young.
Out of the AL, I'm not gonna say what my head thinks, but I think my heart wants to go with Cal Raleigh. I think it's a great story. Um, he's in the Pacific Northwest, so the media coverage honestly isn't that great.
Yeah.
But because he is dominating so much in home runs out of the catcher position, I think a lot of baseball purists love that as well. I think a lot of baseball purists understand how difficult that is.
Uh-huh.
Because I don't, if memory serves me correct, I don't think a catcher has ever led the league in home runs. Um, I don't think, I don't think Johnny Bench or Yogi Berra ever led
Uh-uh.
the majors. Mike Piazza might have in the NL, maybe.
Maybe.
And he's probably the only one that could, and he was a mediocre catcher as it was. He's solid, but more on the mediocre side on the defensive side.
Yeah.
But if he is the first ever catcher to lead the league in home runs, that would be awesome and more history. And baseball loves its history. So he would be my pick. But if the Yankees can pick it up in the second half and Judge hits 350, 60 home runs, 120 RBIs, and plays a plus defensive player, is going to be hard for them. And another thing is and I saw some people complaining about this on Twitter. Judge plays in a much more favorable ballpark.
Yeah.
So it's going to be much easier for him to sustain. And not only that, the Tampa Bay Rays are playing in their ballpark junior as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because I saw this fly ball chart where somebody took, I don't know, like 120 of Judge's fly balls at especially like his home runs, and like basically a third of his home runs, if he played in any other division, would just be pop-up outs, which is a very interesting thing to see. But I think that's something that's just the beauty of baseball, and the park you play in does play into your offensive stats and your offensive strategy or defensive strategy of how a player or defensive player plays out. Um, my On the NL side, I actually want to go with Pete Crow Armstrong, and maybe it's because I think he could still take it up a notch, and I think the baseball community loves that the Cubs are back in the strong playoff run and win their division, make a playoff, strong playoff chances, along with like the Tigers as kind of a bounce back team, and they're one of baseball's kind of darlings. And you have this young prodigy, even kind of more than what Bobby Witt was doing last year, even though Bobby Witt had a phenomenal year last year. Uh, so I think if Pete Crow Armstrong could take it up 10%, maybe he edges out the prodigal son of Shohei to win the NL MVP.
Yeah. I like it. I like it. Sorry, I was doing some research. I don't know if you saw it a couple days ago where apparently Cal Raleigh, and see, this is what's scary, is apparently Cal Raleigh said in a hot mic that Judge was the king of meaningless fucking home runs or something like that. And it was like, but it was like AI generated or something like that. But
Yeah.
I had to go fact check it real quick to make sure that, because that's what I thought is it was AI generated. But yeah, so moving forward. We'll go AL Cy Young. You got Tariq Skubal at minus 260, Garrett Crochet plus 650, and then you got Hunter Brown from the Astros at plus 700. Then you got Skeens at minus 130 for the NL, Wheeler at plus 110 from the Phillies, and then from the Phillies as well, Christopher Sanchez at 20 to 1 odds. So AL
Say,
pick.
say the NL ones again, sorry.
So NL is Skeens from the Pirates, Wheeler from the Phillies, and then Christopher Sanchez from the Phillies. Skeens being the favorite at minus 130. So my AL pick is going to be Skubal. I think the guy's legit. I think he brings an intensity on the mound that is it's unmatched. So I got to take him. As much as I like Garrett Crochet, I don't think it's there. So I'm going to go with Skubal for the AL, and then for the NL, I'm going to go ahead and take Skeens. I wish he was just on a better team.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go with the same two guys. I think just storyline is going to matter for Scooble. I think being a dominant pitcher, high energy for a team that is one of the best in baseball, having a great bounce back year, back on top. Uh, I think that's going to matter in his case that he's been so dominant, such a low ERA, and like the eye test tells you he's one of the best pitchers in baseball as well when you just watch him perform on the mound. And I know he's had a fair amount of starts that's gone deeper into games too, and he's going 7 innings, 8 innings, a lot more than some of these other guys are. I have Hunter Brown on my fantasy team, so I love what he's doing as well. Um, but and with Skeens, I think the storyline is going to work in the opposite way, that he's in such a terrible offensive situation, getting so little support, but is so dominant. And MLB already broke precedent a few years by giving a Cy Young to a guy who whose wins and loss stats weren't quite in control, especially as
Uh-huh.
baseball has accepted that pitch starting pitchers are a 6 to 7 inning job and not an 8 to 9 inning job like it was
Yeah.
20, 25, 30 years ago. And knowing that fact, when Skeens is giving you on average 7 innings, 12 plus strikeouts at like a 168 or 172 ERA, and so much is out of control for him. I want to say I saw a game where he was playing the Mariners and he had like 14 strikeouts, no earned runs, no walks, but lost the game 1-0.
Uh-huh.
It's brutal.
Yeah.
So, um, and I actually think we're gonna cut out a segment, but I do want to bring this up with Skeens. So I have my theory that I think Skeens is going to be moved next year or the following year because I think his trade haul demand will be so high that a team would have to really fork up a lot.
Uh-huh.
But if he did go somewhere, it would be somebody trying to win a World Series this year.
Yes.
But I think you're on the other side that you think Skeens might go this year, or at
Uh-huh.
least from what you see in the rumor mill. So why don't you give me your thoughts on what should or what you think is going to happen with Skeens?
Yeah, no, I think as bad as I hate to say it, man, I think he goes this year, and I think, like you said, it's going to be somebody that is trying to win a chip, and they're trying to win it now. The team that I've seen some rumors floating around with is the Tigers. I know that they do have a little bit. They got a good farm system.
Yeah.
And not only that, but they got a little bit of money to play with as well. Especially with, and what helps the Tigers is Javi Baez having a kind of
Renaissance.
comeback,
Yeah.
yeah, kind of like a comeback player of the year type year. And just, I mean, now he's got an all-star bid again. So I could see Skeens to the Tigers. Of course everybody's going to say Skeens to the Dodgers. And personally, I'll be honest with you, I don't see Skeens going to the Dodgers. Just by the type of person that he is, I don't think he would be okay with that. I think he would be like, no, like, I'll go to another team. So yeah, the Tigers are the one that I could see. And then there was another team that I had in my mind. I don't think he'll stay in the NL. I don't. Because I saw some people floating around the Mets, and I just don't see him staying in the NL. I don't think the Pirates would want him to stay in the NL.
Yeah. I've thought that if he gets moved, it'll be like the Yankees for next year or the year after. Because
Yeah.
the Yankees will be able to pay him. They're willing to pay players, but like they're not willing to go. Skeens, if Skeens got traded to the Yankees, he is probably because you can't justify paying a player more than Judge who is not better than Judge. So that's
Yes.
why Soto, like they had a number with Soto and they weren't going over that. And then they got Goldschmidt and Bellinger and replaced, and it's worked out just fine.
Yes.
Yankees pitching staff has just kind of been decimated. But if Skeens, I don't know, I would really have to. It would be 1A, 1B if Skeens got traded to the Yankees of who's the better player, Skeens or Judge.
Yeah.
Skeens is like 10 years younger, so there's that. Or maybe like 8 or 9 years younger, because I think Judge is already like 31, 32. But if Skeens goes to Detroit and you have him as Scooble, and
Yeah.
it's like, first of all, if I'm the general manager, I'm like, just let's say it's a midseason trade. I keep School my number one, and I move Skeens into the number two spot because Skeens gets any number two in the league, it's just going to dominate. But would that be the best 1-2 in a single season at least? The best 1-2 pitching staff that we've seen because you've had Maddox and Glavin,
Yeah.
you've had Kerry Wood, Mark Pryor, and I know probably you're not, if you're not a baseball nut, you don't remember how good Kerry Wood and Mark Pryor are. But both of those guys were two guys that had 20 game strikeouts in the same, not in the same year, but they were both 20 game strikeouts and under two ERA guys for a short run of time. But
Roy
I don't know.
Halladay, well, you had Roy Halladay, Cole Hamels at one point in
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, if he goes to the Tigers and they pull that off, I think that is the best 1-2 we have ever seen in the sense of like,
Bearzito, Mark Mulder,
dude,
like early with the A's. I mean, that was
yeah.
special too.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think you have to give it to them in the sense of pure dominance. Like you had like Zito and Mulder and like I said, Hamels and Holiday and Glavin and Maddox and those guys were more of like
Hey, I have one. Um, Randy Johnson, Kurt Schilling, Diamondbacks, and they won the World Series.
they did. They
And
did.
Randy Johnson won the Cy Young that year, and then I think Kurt Schilling was World Series MVP.
If that might be the best one too, but if Skeens and Scuba win a World Series this year, that's the best one too.
Yeah, I
That's
agree.
the best one too.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think it's going to be interesting, man. But yeah, I'm curious as the trade deadline kind of approaches where it all sits. But on to we'll do this last little piece here of the rookie of the year favorites. Unless you had something else to add. Do you have something else to
No,
add?
no, no.
Okay. So rookie of the year favorites in the AL, you got Jacob Wilson from the Athletics. I wanted to say Oakland, but that would be incorrect. So from the Athletics, and then you got Cam Smith from the Astros, and then Nick Kurtz also from the Athletics. In the NL, you got Jacob Mizorowski from the Brewers, Drake Baldwin from the Braves, and then Agustin Ramirez from the Marlins. For my picks, I'm taking Jacob Wilson. I think he's having a great year. For the Athletics, I think he's doing some really good things, and got him an All-Star bid. So I'm really excited. Hopefully, he continues on the right path out there. I like Cam Smith a lot. I just think Jacob Wilson's a little bit better as far as a hitter at this point in time. I don't think that's going to be the same 2 years from now. I think Cam Smith's going to be a better hitter. But we're not talking about the 2-year award. We're talking about this year. And then for the NL, I think Mizorowski's going to run away with it. I think he's already run away with it in my eyes. And the guy's just pure dominance.
The only one I'll disagree with you is on the AL side. I think I'm just going off of what I think because I watched some of his games or at least his highlights. I think Cam Smith is going to figure it out
Okay.
post All Star break, and because I think he has like the higher ceiling, and if he does figure it out, he could hit 18, 19 home runs in the backside of the All Star break and
Uh-huh.
40 plus RBIs, and that would make a very compelling race because he did start out very slow when he got brought up.
Yes.
And they were even thinking about putting him back down in the minor league. They just sat him down. But I think if he can't figure it out, he has a higher ceiling, definitely for the future, but I think even for this year. But I'm going purely on if he figures it out.
Okay.
But I do
Okay.
think I do agree with you at this current standpoint. Wilson is a more polished guy and more likely to actually finish out the year steady enough to win the award. I think Mizorowski is just dominant. As a Brewers fan, I was chomping at the bit for them to call him up. I think they kept him down for as long as they could. But I think he's like 6'7", just being 6'7" with such a long wingspan, being so dominant. Take a note out of 2009 David Price. Stick with the fastball. Throw the breaking ball. Don't throw breaking balls. That's two lefties on this podcast. If you're listening, don't throw breaking balls backdoor to lefties.
No.
You give them a chance.
Yes.
Keep the breaking ball front door or stick with the fastball. David Price threw like 97% fastballs and was the most dominant fastball thrower I ever saw for a debut in my entire life. And I don't think David Price could even hit 100 back then. I think he was like 97, 98,
Yeah.
which he didn't have to be. But I think Mizorowski runs away with it in the NL. I just think he's so electric, and the Brewers are having like a playoff runish type year as well. So I think that will help him his bidding. And if they're in a playoff run, and he's having start after start, good starts, and a lot of even if his ERA is not the best, because rookies are going to give up some earned runs. But I think as long as his strikeouts stay intact and he's winning games, I think he'll end up getting that as well.
Yeah, no, and one note to add on the AL race that you kind of made my wheels turn a little bit with the Cam Smith thing. I think one thing that is going to play into if Cam Smith gets it over Jacob Wilson without even if he doesn't fully figure it out, if he has some highlights that help the Astros win some games, maintain that first place spot in the AL West, and they make the playoffs, I think that notch will get him
Yeah.
over. But he has to have some things that kind of show he was a difference maker for
Yeah.
that Astros team and help them win, as well as having the other pieces around him, because they still do have Jeremy Pena, Isak Paredes, Hunter Brown. There's some pieces, where Jacob Wilson's kind of doing it by himself with him and Nick Kurtz. But yeah, so I think it's going to be an interesting. I'm excited for this year to finish up in baseball, man. I think it's going to be really cool to see how the post All-Star break season goes.
Yeah, I am too, man. And to wrap this up, kind of baseball talk, both of us have our own kind of 1-2 theories with the collective bargaining agreement coming up next year. I think I mentioned to you off camera that I am going to write a formal letter to the MLB and send it to their front office. It probably will get sent straight to trash, maybe even get flagged to go in junk mail, but I'm still sending a formal request. And here's my theory. So it's partially stolen theory, but I was watching the same game. I was watching the Nationals, and James Wood had 4 intentional walks.
Uh-huh.
And I just thinking about, and it's just kind of like a stolen basketball tickets, basketball embrace from the Spurs culture, the load management, and I have been falling victim to in the betting world, but even more frustratingly in the actual going to sports games world with the
Uh-huh.
Grizzlies. I've been burned a couple times buying tickets even last minute, and because the who's playing or who's not playing doesn't come out to an hour before the game. So I've been subject to going to games and guys sitting out and they're not even injured, which is extremely frustrating because the Lakers only come in town 1 or 2 times a year. Kobe, LeBron, like certain teams only come out. Kevin Durant only comes in town 1 or 2 times a year if he's in
Uh-huh.
the East or whatever. But this is more on the baseball side, obviously, in that I think a rule needs to be changed for multiple intentional walks in a game. I would be beside myself as a viewer, as a payer, as a subscriber to a game to watch in a competitive game a prolific hitter get walked multiple times in a game, and I have to sit there as he's getting put on first with a runner on first or a runner on second or runner on first or second, no outs, 1 out or 2 outs. Because one, I think this can make the game more offensively fun and explosive to get more runs in the game, make it more difficult on the pitch, make the game overall more competitive from a competitive standpoint, which baseball is trending in the right direction. And I think they need to enforce more rule and policy changes to make the game more competitive and better for viewership, which I think this would. But I think they need to figure out something like, and I know you've probably been subjugated to this, but it's showcase ball and travel ball on the softball side. I think I've seen it on the baseball side too. When we're in a showcase game, if a girl gets walked and it's a showcase tournament, she's allowed to forfeit her walk, whether it's an intentional walk or not, to get another at bat because scouts aren't there to see her walk,
Walk.
especially if they only have access, availability to watch half a game because they got to go over to see another girl play.
Uh-huh.
So, and we both know an opportunity can come and go with one at bat, one play in the field. But on the viewership side, I think maybe after one intentional walk, that a pitcher has to throw at least one strike, and just somewhat of a theory. I haven't really defined this yet, but a pitcher has to throw at least one strike to a hitter whether he has runners on base or not, or that hitter can like tap his hat and like retake his at bat to where a pitcher throws at least one strike. So he at least has one opportunity to produce something offensively for his team.
Okay. Okay. I see. I see where. you're at, I just don't know how it would work, I guess. I like where you're at because I agree with you. But I just don't know if it's feasible. I don't know. I mean, because again, with an intentional walk. Now, 4 times is a little insane, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
But with an intentional walk, there is some strategy behind it. I mean, hey, I'm going to put this guy on, because if there's a guy on second with one out, if I put this guy on, I might be able to get a double play and get out of the inning. So there's a little bit of that, chess match to it. But at the same hand, 4 intentional walks is kind of crazy. Um, I think, yeah, I just don't know. I don't know what the right answer is to kind of mitigate that.
Yeah,
And
and that's why I'm saying maybe even after first intentional walk, because I don't
yeah,
mind a walk,
no, no, no.
but just throwing, as obviously in baseball, you can't just put somebody on. You have to actually throw 4 intentional balls. But I even think a walk is fine, even if the hitter has seen at least one strike. But I
Yeah.
even think something in the nature after one intentional, so the team gets one intentional walk per hitter, and then after the second one, if a team throws 4 consecutive balls to a hitter, which would technically be considered an intentional walk, even if the catcher doesn't stand up and do the little handout thing.
No, I don't
Um,
think they have to anymore. They don't
and,
have
and,
to
yeah, I
anymore.
think you're right.
They can just say, "Hey, he's
Oh,
going to
okay, yeah,
first
yeah.
base." So
Okay.
maybe that's the answer is you bring that back and because here's the thing, I mean, you saw it in like the 80s, like I mean, people would swing at that and hit the ball. I mean, if it wasn't thrown out there far enough, because let's be honest, pitchers don't like having to throw intentional
Yeah,
balls. So maybe we bring that back of, "Hey, bring back where they got to throw me 4 balls."
yeah,
Like, I don't care. Like, listen, if you don't want to pitch to me, you're going to throw me 4 balls. They don't have to be high intensity, but that's going on. Because here's the other thing, too. By doing that, you're saving that pitcher 4 pitches on his arm.
yeah,
So maybe that's the answer. And then on the other hand of that, I think that's the answer is you bring back they have to throw me 4 balls outside of the zone. And then it adds a little bit of competitiveness because let's say, okay, hey, he swings at one because I made it close enough to the zone, so I got 1 strike. Now I can throw the second because do you remember that one where the catcher went out like this and did the handout and then he went back down and caught it
yes, yeah,
for strike 3? Like
yeah,
maybe I think that's
yeah,
the answer. I think that's the answer is you bring that back because just being able to say, "Oh, hey, here's your base." Like, no, 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 no. You're gonna at least throw something to me, and if me as the hitter, if I decide, hey, coach, I can hit one of these, I'm hitting it.
yeah. Because I remember a 2003 clip with Miguel Cabrera when they were on their World Series run. They won the World Series that year. In a playoff game, he was getting intentionally walked, and the pitcher didn't quite throw it out far enough, and he stayed ready. And they basically threw him like an eye level outside fastball, like 80 miles per hour. And he got a base hit and drove in a run in a playoff game, which made a huge difference that game. And obviously, they won the World Series that year. So, and I know they took away, and not just say that they took away the 4 pitch walk for time constraints to make the game faster.
Uh-huh.
But again, like maybe like you said, they bring that back, and I get it because walking because again, I think it's just egregious and it takes away from competitiveness. Because to me, it's just as bad as you get to the end of an NBA game and they just start fouling, and the last 2.5 minutes is stretched out to 25 minutes in real time because it becomes a free throw contest, which is an eyesore as a viewer and takes away. I'd rather just see the last 2.5 minutes just play it out and let the best team win. And I get there's strategy in both, but if you're telling me like more offense, as we see in the NFL, more offense as is always better from a viewership and a fantasy standpoint, which those things are tied hand in hand together.
Yeah,
Um,
no.
but enough about my theory. I believe you had a theory or thought process as well that you wanted to throw in as well.
But yeah, just with the draft coming up, I think it's interesting, man, that you're seeing a lot of, and I think, I want to hear some people's thoughts, but I think it's very interesting, and I want to know if people think it's going to be a trend like I do, where you're seeing these college draft picks coming into getting called up a lot quicker than what might have been in years past. I attest it to COVID. We're still seeing effects of COVID, man, and 5 years later. And I don't think we're done seeing the effects of COVID until probably, I think next year we'll kind of wean out all of the COVID
Yeah.
kids. But you're seeing these guys that are what are considered MLB ready guys coming out of the draft and getting like Nick Kurtz, Cam Smith, Chase Burns. There's talks like Bazana is going to get called up. I'm missing somebody that was picked last year that's already up in the show.
Caglione.
Caglione's one. Like you're seeing these guys that are viewed as MLB ready, and I like it. I think it's good. You're keeping names like relevant, for the most part, because like think back to what was the kid that got drafted by the Tampa Bay Rays out of Louisville.
Uh,
He
I know you're
was
talking about.
yeah, he was a two-way. Shane something. God, I'm trying to think of his name. But anyway, regardless, like he became irrelevant like after a couple years in the minor leagues, and then he kind of fell off, and that was that. If he maybe came out in today's generation, is he in the show a lot sooner than what we think? So I like it, and I bring it up because the draft is tonight, and there are some guys that are going to be
Shane
picked.
McClanahan.
McClanahan.
Yeah.
McClanahan kind of fell off, and then I think now he's strictly a pitcher. But he spent a couple years in the minor leagues and whatever. But with the draft coming up tonight, there are some guys that they're saying are MLB ready, and you have a lot of these legacy guys from player like former players like Manny Ramirez Jr., CC's son, all that stuff. So you're seeing these guys about to, kind of get their name called. So I think it's going to be interesting to see, and I'm curious to see how the next, couple years play out with this, guys getting called, from college and making it to the show in the next year.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if I can find MLB made a post with all the kids coming in the draft who were legacy players.
Oh
Because
yeah,
there's like seven of them.
yeah. No, there's a lot. There's a lot. I saw that too. Let me see. Let me see if I can find it as well.
Just on the Holiday Brothers.
This year's MLB draft. Famous names. Oh, here it is. I think I found it. So you got yeah,
Oh
you
yeah.
got Ethan. Do what?
I found it too.
Yeah.
You got Max McGuire.
Yep, which is Mark McGuire's son.
One. You have uh, Ethan Holiday, the
That's
second son of Matt
Matt.
Holiday, who could go number one. Um, Interesting one. Love this guy playing when the Caden Kent, Jeff Kent's son.
Yep.
Um, let's see who else. Manny
Dimitri
Ramirez Jr., who you
Dimitri
have some
Young's
personal
son.
ties to, huh?
Yep. Dimitri Young. Yeah, Manny Ramirez Jr. I coached him
Yep.
at TCC. You got
Um,
Dimitri Young's son.
yep. Austin Przisky, AJ Przisky's son, who looks like a stud. Brady Council, Craig Council's son, played at Kansas. Cam Leiter, Mark and Al Leiter's. I think it's so Al Leiter is his son, so Mark Leiter is his dad. Carson Sabathius, he sees Sabathius. Jack Casey, on Casey's the great Reds hitter's son, probably the slowest guy I've ever seen in big league history. Jaden Stroman, Marcus Stroman's little brother, who seemed like a stud athletic hitter.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Did you say CC Sabathia's son?
Yeah, yeah, Caden.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'm
man,
trying to see.
it'll be interesting to see. Yeah.
Yeah, because you got a lot, and you got a lot of like brothers. So like, yeah, man, that's crazy. That is crazy.
All right,
Yeah,
last thing. Let's see, home run derby. Trying to see who's all in home run derby.
that's tomorrow night, I believe.
Yeah, I know who I'm picking. All right, we got Matt Olson from the Braves, Kyle
Uh-huh.
Raleigh out of the Mariners, James Wood out of the Nationals, Byron Buxton on the Twins, O'Neill Cruz on the Pirates, Junior Caminero on the Rays, Brent Roker on the Athletics, and Jazz Chisholm Jr. on the New York Yankees. Who do you have as your pick? Who do you have as a pick, and who do you have as your dark horse for the home run derby?
Mm, my pick is gonna be Cal. I'm gonna take Cal as my pick to win it. My dark horse is probably going to be Matt Olson just because it is at his home field, and he took Ronald Acuna Jr.'s spot. He replaced him. Um, but those are going to be my two. I don't see Chisholm having enough juice.
Yeah,
Caminero's not bad. Though I would love to take O'Neal Cruz. O'Neal Cruz will hit the farthest ball of the night. I will say that. But I think O'Neal Cruz's swing is very max effort, and I think that he will wear out too quickly.
yeah. I would say I think his swing is also very line drivish. He hits the
Yes.
hardest balls, but not as many of his balls go as far as some of the other guys because his swing is such a low trajectory.
Uh-huh.
And he's actually not a big fly ball guy, which is works against him in the home run derby or just hitting a lot of home runs in general.
Uh-huh.
My pick, because I think he has the easiest power, he's the biggest guy in this one.
Yeah.
And I think it's probably the most natural to him. And I've watched him hit batting practice a couple times. And it's gonna be James Wood.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just think he's like the opposite of O'Neal Cruz. His swing is so easy. He's like 6'7", 240. I think he's a natural like BP home run hitter, as well as an in-game hitter. And probably Matt Olson would probably be my dark horse right behind him, just because for the same reason Matt Olson is not. He swings hard, but it seems like it's still like 80% for him.
Yes.
And he does hit a lot of fly balls, which I think again bodes well, and he'll have a little home run juice. But Matt Olson is like that sneaky, really good guy that you don't know
Uh-huh.
a ton about. Because I don't like he's such a quiet guy, and he's so good, but it's like you don't know a ton of his personality.
Uh-huh.
But I'm gonna pick James Wood to be the and I think this is going to put him on like baseball people know how good he is and how good he's going to be, but I think this is going to put him on a huge map and he's going to be the superstar to come out of this.
Yeah. No, I could get behind the James Wood. I mean, it's interesting because you have one, two, three, four, potentially five lefties going into this, with Cal Raleigh being the switch hitter, and then you got I believe Caminero's a right. Yeah, Caminero's a
Yeah,
righty.
and I
So
think
yeah,
right.
Rooker's a righty and Buxton's a righty as
Yeah.
well. But yeah, no, it's going to be interesting. I'm excited to see what it looks like and how many balls are hit and how far they're hit, because it's going to be interesting. This place is going to be a madhouse, dude. Atlanta's about to be a madhouse the next couple days.
Who's your guy to do the worst?
Chisholm.
Yeah,
Chisholm.
yeah. I think he's going to be juiced up, and I think he's going to have a lot of pop flies that don't make it
Yeah.
out. I think he's
Yeah.
pop fly outs. Yeah, I'm with you on
And I
that.
don't mind Chisholm. Don't
I
listen.
love Chisholm.
Yeah, like I'm not like a Red Sox hater on Chisholm right now. Like I like Chisholm. I just I don't think he's got the juice. I think Buxton's gonna surprise some people too.
Yeah, Buxton's like that sneaky, like twitchy, torquey power because he's not. Him and Chisholm are definitely the smallest guys in this, but I
Yes.
think even Buxton is even smaller than what Chisholm is. Uh, the only slight notch I'll give on Chisholm is that he did come up with the Marlins, so he probably has more at bats and more batting practices other than Matt Olson in this home run derby, and he's also used to having to hit home runs out of big ballparks.
Yeah.
So that's just a thought process I just had. Is because a lot of people see him dominating with the Yankees now, but like even I remember when they made the trade for him, even before the trade, I was like, man, they got to get him out of Miami. And I could see him in New York because he could be a 40 home run guy in New York because he has sneaky good wiry pop, but he's been playing in a huge ball field and hitting more doubles
Hmm.
than home runs than he could. And a lot of those doubles could turn into home runs in New York, which they have been.
Yeah.
But man, great pod. We
Yeah.
covered a lot. Well, we went hour 40 minutes, probably our longest pod, and not We don't have anything to even cut out of this. So, but good job today, and good first week back at the
Hell
office,
yeah.
and have a lot of fun. I'm gonna. We had a lot of good segments on this, so I'm actually gonna cut this up and try to make each segment be a separate video to
Okay.
release each day throughout the week this week and get a little bit more content out.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, man, I appreciate it. It was fun, and I'm sure we'll be